Hello, welcome to another vlog. It's that time of the month, which is to say, late. This time I'm going to take some questions on Discord, and I'm set up in my little corner. I've got a computer set up now in my garage, which is nice. It gives you a little space to work, you know, that's quiet and away from family, which is useful. This time I'm drinking some Rogue. What is it? It's Rogue Cold Brew IPA, India Pale Ale blended with cold brew coffee. Sounds interesting. I've had coffee stouts, but never a coffee IPA. It's a bomber. It's a big bottle, so I'll crack it open early, and then what I'll do is I'll talk about what I've been working on, and I'll ping everyone in the Discord, everyone, and we'll answer the questions once they start coming in. But first, I'm going to give this a pour, and it's coming out kind of a caramel colour, isn't it? Looks like there's a bit of a head on that. There's more than a pint in a big bottle like this. That's, what is it, 750. It's a strong one as well, 7.5%. How big is it? 650ml. Yeah, that's your typical bomber size. Basically, it's two bottles, two small bottles. As you can see, another marvellous pour. And it really is like a... The light's not the best in this corner. I don't have any direct light on me. We've got some fluorescent lights up there, but that's about it. But it's, the best way I can describe it, it's opaque. It's sort of sewagey in colour. Smells quite nice though. It's got that sort of piney West Coast smell to it, which makes sense because they're a West Coast brewer. Smells like an IPA, but yeah, there is a hint of coffee there as well. Should be quite nice. Should be quite nice. Rogue are capable of doing a good beer. They're also capable of doing some terrible ones. They had one that came in a pink bottle, the Voodoo Donut flavour, and I wasn't very good, I believe. I've never tried it, but then the price of importing the big bottles is prohibitive. But this one was in a local supermarket, and I thought, you know what, yeah, that's quite an interesting beer. I'll try that for a vlog. And it's been sat in my fridge for a couple of months. But it's nice and cold, at least. Anyway. I have been working on a video about the Amiga. It's, I think it's going to be called Flatline. I've not quite fully decided on the subtitle, but it's about the early history of the Amiga. The Amiga launched in 1985 and it languished. It didn't really do anything until 1988, 3 years. And it just, yeah, it spent all of this time just struggling. For a number of factors, for a number of reasons, and I'll be going into those in the video. And yeah, hopefully there'll be some cool visuals, there'll be some cool obscure early Amiga games, and it should be an interesting video. We're doing a lot of research on it, a lot of research. Some of it is, like I say, obscure. But yeah, it's coming along. I reached a bit of a point where I had to re-plan. I was writing, I had a rough draft, it was very rough indeed, and I was writing that merrily, and I was looking at the pace that I was writing at, and it turned out that to talk about everything that I wanted to, it was going to weigh in at about 2 or 3 hours long, which was unacceptable. So I had to replan, take stock, and sort of define a pace. I don't like writing to a length. I like to be able to express myself fully, but in this case, it was getting ridiculous. So I had to set sort of a word budget for each beat. And I had 18 beats, and I think I capped it, well, I know I capped it at 2 minutes per beat. Now, since then, I think 2 of the beats have merged together, but, you know, you always need to have a certain plasticity. But at 2 minutes per beat, 18 beats, that's about 36 minutes, which is about on target. And I figure once I trim some of the fat, that'll bring it in bang on the half-hour mark. Although, I don't know, I'm looking at between 25 and 30 minutes. I'm being quite strict on time. But it's coming along. I finished up Act 2 today, so I reckon the script will be finished next week. And then that includes the final draft, and then I'll perform that script, get it recorded, and then production can start. Hopefully there'll be a lot of cool stuff in production. I've got an aesthetic in mind. Kind of had this idea of doing vaporwave, but with also, not when I say vaporwave, I don't just mean the cliche stuff. I don't just want to have a Roman bust, pink and green, that sort of thing. I want to play with it a bit more. Sort of, you know, tap into it but not exploit it as the cliched style. I want to, I want to try and do some stuff, because I had the realization that the Amiga is quite vaporwave in its early days. A lot of the stuff is very 80s, because it was the middle of the 80s. So there's a lot of cool stuff to show off, a lot of interesting technology. And I think I'm going to film the vast majority. So I'm going to try and avoid emulation and just record original hardware. So I expect a lot of scan lines and a lot of hardware shots, coloured lighting and that sort of thing. Should be cool. Should be interesting. We'll see. You never know. You never know, really. Anyway, I'm going to ping everyone on Discord. Apologies in advance. Even if you're not in the Discord, apologies. Everyone. Oh, and it's all in capitals. Everyone. I'll not put it in capitals. Everyone. I'm not very good at this, writing messages. How do you address everyone in a Discord server? I am taking questions for the next vlog. Exclamation mark? Is that too racy? No, it's fine. We'll have an exclamation mark. I am taking questions for the next vlog! Exclamation mark. Sounds a bit excited, more excited than I really am, but it'll do. We'll keep it casual. Or maybe I don't know. Post M here, and I'll, instead of putting them at THEN, I'm going to put an apostrophe and put EM there. Makes it sound all casual, doesn't it? People reading that, they'll think, oh, he's not thinking about this at all. He's just doing. What a maverick! But you and I know. We've considered this message carefully. Post them here. They'll send me a DM, and I'll answer them in their video. Alright, I think that'll do. I don't like to overthink these things, but I don't know. I don't like pinging everyone. It blows up the server. Alright, I'm going to press enter. Hold up. By using everyone, you're about to mention 900 plus people. Are you sure? No, I'm not sure. I always hate doing this. I hate uploading videos. I hate bothering people on social media. But we are going to do this. Alright, it's done. I hope there were no bad questions. Oh, two people typing. Who is this? Why are you messaging me? The Oracle, I think. Well, it's the ear. Oh, they're going too fast. The ear says, wow. I'm not sure what that means. CJ, what is the meaning of life? Oh, I don't know. It depends. I mean, if you want a Douglas Adams reference, I'll give you a Douglas Adams reference. If you want... I mean, the biological imperative is to have children. I can't say I recommend it, but I think that's what the purpose of life might be. Spot my beer. Radon does the eye emoji. I don't know what that means. Bard says, completionist, in-game 100%, all achievements, platinum, 1000G, etc. or not. I am not generally a completionist. I reserve completionism for the games that I enjoy the most. A few that I have, I mean, Fallout 3. Actually, I don't have all the achievements, but one of them glitched out on me, which annoyed me. But yeah, some games I do go for 100%. Rarely, though. My general philosophy is play the game, finish it, pick up any easy ones that you might have missed. And if I really enjoyed it enough to play it again, then I might play it again. Maybe go for some alternate achievements if there's, you know, some that you have to do in a fresh playthrough. Stuff like that. But I mean, I've only got so many hours in the day. So doing completionism all the time, no, not really my style. Drunk Cat says, when Glock 7? Well, the Glock 7 is a fictional weapon from Die Hard, so I'm not likely to cover that. However, the Glock 17, or in fact the Glock as a general weapon, is pretty high up there. if I was going to do 6 episodes of Iconic Arms, which I'm not, I'm going to do individual episodes going forward. So season 4 is going to be spread. It's going to be interspersed with other more interesting stuff. But if I were to do 6, the Glock would definitely be in there. Honestly, the Glock is probably 2nd or 3rd in the queue. So it's going to come soon. And I'm not just going to do the Glock 17. I'll do Glock as a general thing. Rifati says, can you read fast enough to keep up with the spam? No, but I've frozen it where I'll scroll down and read them, and then eventually, when things slow down, I'll catch up. But the Christy says, what time do you call this, young man? It is 22:06. It is quite late. The boy goes to sleep at 7. So I was working till 5. Went to pick him up from nursery. We watch a bit of TV. We feed him. And then he goes down to bed at 7. And then after that, I fed myself, I relaxed a little bit, watched a bit of TV, I had a shower, I prepared, got my stuff together, fed the cats, and here we are, 10 o'clock already. It's difficult to record vlogs in the evening because it takes a certain amount of time to just do the necessary level of self-care, i.e. having some food and having a shower. So yes, it's about 10 o'clock and I'll be recording for the next hour. It'll take us to about 11 and then it'll probably take me another hour to wind down, so it's midnight bedtime. And then the boy will wake up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. He doesn't know. It's the weekend. You can sleep in till like whenever. Nope, he wakes up at 7. You can't hack it though, you need to nap. Lightweight. Square27 says, it's hot, innit? It's alright, yeah, it's a bit cooler here now. In my garage, actually quite temperate. I don't know why. It doesn't really get the sun, I think, and it's got pretty good ventilation in that it's poorly insulated. So it's going to be freezing in the winter, but right now, it's nice. Jareth Treble Zero says, how is life? Life is alright. It's okay, it's ticking over. I've had a few weddings recently. It seems to be wedding season. But people about my age, people that I know, they all seem to be getting married. There's 2 principal waves, I think. Sort of, alright, I've left home, I've left university, I found the love of my life, let's get married at 20-ish. And then there's the, oh Christ, I'm 30 odd, I better get married. And we're in that phase now with my friends. So I've had, I want to say I've had 3 weddings this year. 2 of them in the last month. So last weekend I was in Hexham, which is about 150 miles away from here. So it's on the border with Scotland. So I drove up there, up the M6, and then across to Hexham. It was alright. Stopped off at T-Bay. T-Bay's nice. So yeah, how is life? It's alright, yeah. It's always busy, but I'm putting in the hours. I get 4 days a week to work that are pure and unfettered, and then whatever I can scrabble in the evenings and nap times. So, yeah, I get my 40 hours to work, and then the rest I just generally spend either looking after the boy or trying to relax and just find my inner peace, which is more difficult than you think, but, things are, things have balanced out. And as he's getting older, he's becoming more autonomous, which is a double-edged sword, of course, but eventually I'll be able to fob him off in video games and everything will be fine. Mitt says, what do you think of Glasgow? Glasgow. I mean, yeah, it's fine, yeah. I like it, it's alright. It's a bit rough in parts, but the centre's nice. I've not been that many times, actually. I've spent more time in Edinburgh. But, yeah, I like Scotland, in fact. I'd live there given a chance, but my wife was insistent that we live near family, which is useful for childcare, to be fair. So yeah, Preston's fine too, and Scotland is a mere stone's throw away up the M6. Drunk Cat straps in for the ride. Virus Hunter, when's M41 a pulse rifle? It's a fictional weapon. I don't really plan on covering fictional weapons. Not really, anyway. Clipsy says, on a scale of 1 to 10, what even? 2, 4, 6, 8. It's 10, I guess. Crazy Al says, how are you staying cool in this weather? It's terribly bourgeois to say, but I bought a portable air conditioner. It is the single best thing I've ever bought. I read all about, well, you know, all this news. Like, oh, it's so hot, the weather. Oh, it's awful. And I'm just there. 16 degrees Celsius. Bliss. I'm slightly concerned about the electricity bill, but, you know, it's worth it. Right, I just noticed I've got 12 messages. I've got some DMs as well. I'll make sure I cover the DMs. Let's see. Soon Shrunk says, do you have an Iconic Arms episode planned? Yes, I do. I'm returning to Iconic Arms after I've done this Amiga video, which, yeah, give it about a month or so. Although, 2 months, definitely. And it's just going to be a one-off. I'm not going to do 6 in a row, but I'm going to get Iconic Arms in the mix a lot more. So you're going to see them. There's not going to be a long period of absence of Iconic Arms. They're just going to come along once in a while. You know, like I'll do an Iconic Arms, I'll do a couple of other ideas, I'll do another Iconic Arms, so on and so forth, until I run out of guns, which might be years away. Or, you know, whenever the outlaw talking about guns, you know, oi, you got a licence? So yes, I do have an Iconic Arms episode planned. It is on the MP40, because I have a massive backlog of World War II weapons, and I want to clear it. And the MP40 is a cool gun. So yeah. Other World War II guns I'd like to cover. The Papa Shah, of course. The MG42, Hitler's Buzzsaw. Yeah, I reckon so. What else? English weapons. Lee Enfield rifle, maybe. Sten, possibly. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There are so many World War II weapons, and so little time. I do need to clear some of them. But the MP40's first. Let's have a look. Do you consult a flowchart when completing Mass Effect 2? No, I didn't. No, I just sort of... I played through and then realised I messed up the ending and then played it again. I think I might have looked at a walkthrough, you know, how not to make your crew members die at the end, but nothing beyond that. Laylo says, does using psychedelics expand your mind? I don't actually know on that front. Does caffeine count? I've never actually done mushrooms or LSD or anything like that. Not really my bag, actually. I'm more into stimulants. Not that I don't take speed or anything, but I feel like I'd be good on speed. But no, caffeine, principally. That's my drug of choice. MIT. Pure mental, by the way. It's a Glasgow thing. Right. Could be worse, could be Edinburgh. It was nice. Lyra Nuna. How's life in the new house going? It's going pretty well. Yeah, I have space. I actually have 2 offices now, which is brilliant. I've got my inside office and I've got an outside office. This is, admittedly, when I say an office, it's a garage with a computer in it. But I reckon I can turn it into a nice little space. I need to get some storage. And I'm in 2 minds whether to get it converted properly and get rid of these nice brick walls, or to keep that industrial chic look. I don't know. But no, it's nice. We've definitely got a lot more space here. Obviously, bills are correspondingly higher. You know, that's just one of the downsides of having a larger place. Our old house was dead cheap to run, but this one, not so much. It's better value per square foot here where we are. It's less desirable, that's why. Praetorian says, is this good beef jerky? With a picture of Wild West. It's okay. It is the best you'll buy commonly in the UK. Look, if you go to a supermarket, you're looking for beef jerky in the UK, you'll find Wild West. And it's alright. It's alright. It's sort of... It's actually... I think it's worse than Jack Link's. But not much worse. It's a sort of similar tier. Yeah. It's like the sort of stuff you'd find in a 7-Eleven. It's jerky. It's recognisable as such. But it'll scratch that jerky itch. But it won't make your heart sing. It'll be like, this is dried beef. Ed says, give us your thoughts on BR games like Fortnite and PUBG. Yeah, I've completely fallen off the multiplayer wagon. I've barely played any multiplayer games at all. So, I haven't played Fortnite, I haven't played PUBG, and I don't really have a huge desire to, if I'm honest. I was never huge into multiplayer games anyway. They take up too much time. And I think I've always preferred single-player games. Call of Duty really was an exception. I like Battlefield as well. I've played a bit of Battlefield. I like that, and I'll probably play Battlefield 5 when that comes out, which is quite soon actually. I think I need to keep an eye out for the open beta on that. But no, PUBG, no, not really interested. Mildly interested, but not interested enough to actually buy it and play it. Bart says, for a minute this turned into Dross. Do you know, some of the most intellectual conversations happen in Dross. It's mixed in with some of the most awful stuff, but, you know. Skytech CEO says, when will you come to Hawaii, and while will you come? Ask me what to eat, ahoy. I don't know, why would I? I'm not really a hot weather sort of guy. I'd rather go somewhere cold, but I reckon I could have a nice time in Hawaii. Yeah, I reckon so. I enjoy playing Test Drive Unlimited. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I could dig Hawaii. I mean, I like Spam for one, and I don't know. I'd get a Jeep Wrangler. I'd drive around Hawaii. I'd keep the air conditioning on high. I'd wear shorts and Hawaiian shirts. I could probably live that life. That'd be all right. Yeah. Drunk Cat says, ahoy, X, Kurtz gesagt, OTP. I don't know what OTP means. Is this some sort of slash fiction thing? Is this a weird thing? McFried says, what is better, winter or summer, and why? Winter, because it's colder, which means you don't get too hot. You can always put a jumper on, but you can't take a summer off. Ace Phoenix 007 says, ahoy, do you have any influences when it comes to composing music? Yeah, probably I do, yeah. What are my main influences? I like a bunch of stuff. Sort of synthy stuff. I like Jean-Michel Jarre. I like a lot of Amiga stuff, actually. Amiga is sort of Pro Tracker, Octomad Sound Tracker, that sort of... the modules. That's probably a major source of my influence. What else? Just electronic stuff in general. Aphex Twin, yeah, to an extent, yeah. It's a bit more industrial than I like. Acid House is probably another sort of stuff. I like a 303, I especially like 808. You know, the cowbell you'll probably notice in some of my tracks. I've been doing some music for the Amiga video, and that's sort of been Vaporwave influenced. There's only one Vaporwave song, you know which one it is. And even that's just a Janet Jackson song slowed down. But yeah, synthwave as well. I quite like, you know, stuff like that. Kavinsky, Dance with the Dead. Yeah, that sort of stuff I like. But all sorts, really. I do listen to quite a wide range of music. Anything synth heavy is probably an influence. Oh, John Carpenter. I love his stuff. And he's not really a musician either, which is why I like him. Because I don't consider myself to be a musician either. I need music. I've got to do music, so I do music. And John Carpenter was very much the same, and I love his stuff. Yeah, sort of very, very strong synth-led, atmospheric but repetitive ostinato stuff. Love it. Right. Drunk Cat, again, says, when will you finally play rich, fulfilling games like Okami or Shadow of the Colossus? I've played Shadow of the Colossus. It was alright, yeah. Yeah, it's alright. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good. I'm not going to tell you that it's not good, but did it change my life? Not really. Okami, I actually haven't played. I probably should pick up the remaster at some point and then play it. I certainly am familiar with it. I know what it looks like. I know how it plays, but I haven't really played it. When's the next Ahoy live stream? When I get time, which is actually never. Congratulations, I have no free time. DA5E says, are Deathspell and Amiga the best band in existence? That one's rhetorical, obviously. Well, I've never heard of them, so they might be. I don't know. Joe76 says, do you even? I am able to even, but I prefer to odd. Drunk Cat again says, ahoy X Kurtz gesagt X CGP Grey X Bill Wirtz. That's too many questions. And then jazzy fonts come on the screen, something like that, I imagine. Anyway, who's your favourite content creator? I don't like the words content creator, I'll be honest. Content is something made to fill a hole. You know, it's very much a marketing speak word. I used to call my stuff content, but then once upon a time I got an email from a guy who said, I don't like the word content, Stu, you shouldn't use it. It's a bad word, it commoditises art. And I was like, you crazy kook, what are you on about? And then I thought about it, and I thought, well, he's got a point, actually. Content is kind of an empty nothing word that doesn't describe what I do. So I don't like the word content, and I don't tend to describe myself as a content creator anymore, because it is a bit of a... I don't like it. It's not a nice word, really. I'm just a guy who makes videos. I used to have, on my channel, I used to have a little tagline that said, what was it? Something gaming content, I don't know. I've changed that to videos instead of content. But who is my favourite guy who makes videos? Or lady? It's a guy. I'm trying to think. I'm not impressed by very many people who make videos. Which is, that's some shade right there. But no, I'm rarely wowed. I'm mildly impressed sometimes, but who am I impressed? Favourite people who, if I had like an Ahoy dream team, if I could hire people, there are a few people that I would hire. First person, Matt Barton. He does fantastic interviews with devs. He is probably one of the finest video game journalists that nobody has ever heard of. Some people have heard of him, and if you have, you know what I'm talking about. He does fantastic interviews. I don't know how he does it. He must be great at networking. And yeah, he is the finest interviewer of people relevant to the video game industry that exists. He's great. There's another guy. He's not actually a video creator. He's a researcher. He's called the Digital Antiquarian. He's named Jim Mayer. He's got a book. I've actually been reading his book. It's about the Amiga. It's called The Future Was Here, and it's relevant to my video. And he is probably the single best video game researcher out there. He consistently impresses me. He also consistently frustrates me, because every time I'm doing original research on a video, I come across his work. Because all too often I find he has trodden the same path as me. You know, I'll be reading the primary material, the magazines, the original, you know, the articles, and actually trying to follow the thread. I'll pull on the thread a little bit. Oh, and would you look at that? It's a Digital Antiquarian article on exactly the same topic that I'm researching. Isn't that wonderful? But to me, that just tells me that, yeah, he knows his stuff. He does good work. He doesn't do video. That's one thing I've got that he doesn't. But he does do some fantastic research, and he's told some stories that I can tell he's done a lot of digging on, because invariably I've done the same digging. Who else? Oh, there's a guy, I can't remember his channel. It's got Japanese in it. He does video game music analysis. It's like, I love video games, but it's in Japanese. I don't know, it's Japanese, I don't know Japanese. I looked it up in Google Translate, and it literally means I love video games. But he does like anthologies of video game composers, and he mixes them, so it's continuous mix. And he doesn't do voiceover or anything like that. It just comes up as text on the screen. But he knows his stuff. He knows about the music, and he tells you about it in text. So you listen to the music, and it's all mixed together, and it's like a chronology of the oeuvre of the particular artist in question. And he, again, I was hugely impressed, because I've been thinking about doing a video on computer game music, looking at maybe different artists, maybe different types of the technology behind music. I want to do something along the lines of a brief history of music, but to really do the topic justice, I think I'm going to have to focus a little bit more. So I'm thinking of I'm going to look at different aspects of music creation. So I'm loosely planning a video on stuff like the Commodore 64's sound chip, the SID. Maybe the Amiga as well. I'll talk about Pro Tracker, Sound Tracker, the trackers, and the birth of the mod format, and then its evolution to Fast Tracker, Scream Tracker, Impulse Tracker, and its eventual decay because obviously MP3 rather supplanted the need for modules. But yeah, I do want to do videos like that, and there is a guy called I Love VG, who you probably won't find by searching that because it's in Japanese. I don't think he is Japanese, I think he's just got... Anyway, I can't remember his channel name, but yeah, he's good. He does really good stuff, and I was impressed. Who else do I like? I've mentioned him before, but Kuerka77, Finnish dude who uploads music from the Amiga and the Commodore 64. I love his stuff. It's not his stuff, technically, he's just re-uploading other people's music, but he does good stuff. So these are not necessarily, you know, well-known people, but they're people that have influenced me in many respects, and yeah, I read their stuff, I watch their stuff, I listen to their stuff. Drunk Cat says, what is the boy's favourite game so far? Simple answer to a simple question, it's Minecraft. He loves Minecraft. What else? No, in fact, it's just Minecraft. If he sees anything with pixelated graphics, he goes, oh, Minecraft. Which is quite funny, really, if you ask me. He's got a good eye for stuff like that. What else does he like? He likes anything with recognisable characters. He's a big fan of Star Wars. He likes the droids. You can name all the droids from Star Wars. He doesn't care about the human characters. He likes Chewbacca. He knows Chewbacca, but BB-8 is absolutely his favourite. So anything with BB-8. I've got the Lego Star Wars game, which has BB-8. And it's got R2-D2, C-3PO. That's all he knows. Just the droids plus Chewie. Which is, you know, fair enough. But yeah. August Swift says, how has your outlook on the world changed since having a child? I don't know. It's difficult to say because it's, you know, a gradual change. The principal thing that's changed is that I just can't get enough sleep. That's the thing. Because I just can't sleep how I want to. I used to sleep free running. I used to go to bed whenever, wake up whenever. I can no longer do that. Unfortunately, I have to live in the real world, and I have to get up in the mornings. And honestly, it's a killer. I can't do it. I don't like it. And as soon as I can quit getting up at 7 AM in the mornings, the better, quite frankly. But here I am, stuck, getting up in the mornings and then being tired all the time. And, you know, I've signed up, I've got at least another 10 years of this, maybe more. That's the principal thing that comes to mind, is just lack of sleep. Have I become, you know, more sensitive to other stuff? Maybe, but not hugely, you know. I think you probably, yeah, I mean, when you hear about stories of 2-year-olds dying, and you see pictures of, you know, 2-year-old boys that look like your own son, that probably does affect you a little bit more, you know. Like I remember there was a boy who got abducted, Jamie Bulger. He was in a shopping centre. He was 2 years old, and he got led away by a couple of older boys, and he was killed. And I remember it happening at the time, and of course you think, oh, that's terrible. But, you know, it's sort of, I think, I was reading about it again because it came up in the news. And, yeah, it probably did hit me harder the second time around. Just, you know, because I've got a son about the same age. And it makes you think, you know, what if someone stole him? And the dark voice inside says, well, you'd be able to get more sleep. True, yeah, but still, it would be dreadful. Not something you want to happen. Yeah, but you could lie in to like midday. Yeah, but, yeah, no. Probably not a good thing. Anyway. What was your greatest moment of first world anarchism? Oh, I don't know, it's a difficult one. I don't know, first world anarchism. I don't know, nothing comes to mind. I'll let you know if something does come to mind. Jason says, what's your favourite movie? I'm going to say The Fifth Element. I don't know if it is my favourite movie, but it's certainly up there. I'm thinking my favourite period of movies is probably late 90s sci-fi. And The Fifth Element fits in that. I also like stuff like Mimic, Existenz, The Matrix, of course, and yeah, a few other things of that ilk. But The Fifth Element stands out. It's definitely one of my favourites. Ahoy. Drunk Cat, again, says, when will you relinquish your silly preconceptions and accept Computer Space as the one true first video game? Well, as we know, the first video game is a very difficult thing to pin down. I plan on doing a video on this. It's quite a contentious topic, you know, but what was the first video game? Now, you might look on Wikipedia, you might see a list of games that are contenders for being the first video game, but to get a definitive answer, first you must define what a video game is. And this is... it's rather more difficult than you might think. And the more you research this, the more you realise that you've actually got no idea what a video game even is. Is Pong a video game? Is it? You mean, obviously it is, of course it is. You know what a video game is? Pong is definitely a video game. It has to be. But is it? And it's, yeah, so this video would really be about, it would be just an exercise in semantics. It would be, you know, how do we define a video game? And how do we define what comes first? Because there are patents from the 1940s that talk about cathode ray amusement devices. There's one from 1947 that everybody cites, and there's actually an earlier one that not many people know about. I don't think it's on Wikipedia, but there are patents that reference entertainment devices that make use of cathode ray tubes. But the argument is that really a video game? It certainly sounds like a video game, but it's just a pattern. I don't think some of these were never made, for instance. So it's becomes a question of semantics, and secondly, it becomes a question of the history of the term video game itself, because the term video game wasn't used to describe any of the really early examples of what we now consider a video game. In fact, the first time video game was really used in that context can be traced to some time after Pong was released. So in 1972, Pong, which as we know is definitely a video game, wasn't called a video game. I think the closest they got in the contemporary advertising was Video Skill Game, which is similar but not quite the same. So anyway, there's an interesting video concept there that I may look at some point. Chris Aruda says, is there a video that you would like to make but you think it does not fit in your channel? Maybe, yes, actually. I did have an idea of doing some local history stuff. There is a Roman road that runs near to where I live. It's a road that ran from Ribchester to a place called Kirkham, where there was a fort. And this road, yeah, so Ribchester was a major fort, Kirkham was another major fort. There was a road that ran there, and this road was called the Danes Pad. And supposedly this road went from Kirkham to the coast. But this road, the remnant of this road has been lost. And there was supposed to be where this road ended, there was supposed to be a mythical port. What was it called? I've forgotten what. Anyway, this Danes Pad was supposed to lead to a major Roman ship port, but the location of that port is unknown. I was going to do a video on the mystery of the Danes Pad, or at least I was mooting it, but then I suppose local history doesn't really fit my channel. It might be something, maybe at some point I'll do it in the future. It's definitely worthy of a documentary, I think, but it's outside of my remit of video games. Anyway, what's next? Funny Gin Man says, where do you take inspiration for your art style? How long did it take for you to perfect it? For me, well, it's a continuous process. I don't think I've perfected it. I strive to get better. I strive to improve where possible, but I don't think I'll ever perfect it. No. My art style, where does it come from? It's principally informed by, I think, the technology I've used, vector illustration, that sort of thing. I think, yeah, just doing vector illustration has largely sort of shaped it. It's sort of, I guess, really, it's weird for the medium to shape the actual work itself, but yeah, I guess, yeah, in many respects, the limitations of vector graphics have had an influence on what I do. Apart from that, what else? Modernism, principally. I think that's, you know, that's my key. Stuff like Mondrian and Bauhaus. That's kind of a key source of my inspiration. That's sort of filtered through graphic work of the late 20th century, particularly propaganda posters, stuff like that, and that alongside with computer art as well. And, you know, I mean, I first got to grips with digital art with stuff like Deluxe Paint, which, you know, that's probably had a major influence on my work as well. But yeah, in terms of graphic design, modernism is probably my key influence. In any case, best Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Ooh, first one that comes to mind, Predator. I like Predator a lot. It's probably my favourite. I don't know if it's the best, but it's my favourite. Which is, you know. Chris Arudo says, is there a video that totally fits your channel, but you will never do? I don't think I've written anything off like that, you know. If it's a good idea, if it fits my channel, and, you know, if it was possible, then yeah, I would do it, definitely. The only reason I wouldn't is if it was impractical to do. So what would I like to do that's impractical? I don't know, actually. I don't know. There are probably some that are... Oh, there is one, actually. There is one that I would like to do that's impractical. I'd like to do a biopic/interview with Peter Molyneux. But to do that, I would need to interview the man himself. I'd need to get him fully on board. So, yeah, that's a major external factor, which will be quite difficult to pull off, I think. So Molyneux that's a big project that I'd love to do. I'd really be looking to... What I want to do is I want to tell his story, you know, how he did great things, first of all, and then how he fell from grace. But then I'd also want to, in some sense, have a redemption of that. Not, you know, make excuses for his failures or anything like that, but to try and put them in context and, you know, because to me, he's a bit of a hero. And I think he's got some cracking ideas, and sometimes his ideas have been bigger than his ability to implement them, and he comes across pretty poorly as a result in recent years. Failures of stuff like Goddess and the Cube. Well, the Cube wasn't so much a failure, but it was more concept than actual content. But I'm sympathetic to the guy because he made a lot of games that I spent a lot of time playing. You know, Populous, Syndicate, and a whole bunch of others. So I'd like to put his legacy to rest, if that makes sense, and you know, get access to the man himself and get him on board, because I think ever since, I think he got lambasted in the press, and I think he's basically shut down all contact with. I haven't heard from him in years. I think he's basically just gone dark, and I think it's a real shame. But I'd love to do a video. I'd just call it Molyneux. And it would be a story in 3 parts of greatness, of a fall from greatness, and then just a little redemption, just a little bit, just a final say. Yes, I might not have been able to deliver on all the fantastic promises that I had, but, you know, what would a world be without a dreamer? Something arty, you know, like that. You know, like, I don't want to be too sycophantic about it. I don't want to shy away from the reality of his legacy of disappointment. But at the same time, I do kind of want to frame him as, you know, somebody who tried. That's a video that I would like to do, but it would be difficult to do. Yeah. I think Polybius was one of the first moves that I did towards interviewing. That was really me dipping the toe in interviews. So it may be something I move towards. I might again try and do interviews or profiles, and I might try and get sort of heartfelt messages from actual people involved in a future project. And maybe one day I will be able to interview Molyneux, and I will be able to make this redemption video. But I don't know. It's a difficult one to do for a number of reasons. Anyway. Alright, so, let's see. Taxman Felix says, "Hey Ahoy, a question for you. What was your first pint? I.e., what beverage? What was the first pint that I ever had?" Difficult question. It was probably about 20 years ago now, so no idea. The first pint I remember was probably Hoegaarden, which would be around the year probably 98, 99. That's certainly one of the first ones that I remember enjoying, my first full pint. Prior to that, I remember drinking Holsten Pils and not really enjoying it. But that wasn't a pint, that was a bottle. I think, yeah, I mean, back in, when I was drinking as a teenager, the key thing that was popular were Alco Pops. So I drank a lot of Smirnoff Ice, I drank a lot of Hooch, Metz, stuff like that. I didn't really start on the beer until a bit later. And Hoegaarden was a beer that that was a beer that I would buy that to enjoy it. So that's certainly the first one that I really enjoyed. It's Hoegaarden. It was a bit sweeter and a bit softer than others. Blind Idiot God says, "Have you ever had formal voice training /acting /monologuing?" No. I mean, I suppose I'm well practiced. I've been doing this for a little while, but I haven't really had any formal training. I've cultivated my own style, which is. Lenny says, "Huh, I got a notification." It's true, we did. Sorry. All right, so I've actually reached the bottom now. Okay, so I've got a number of DMs, about 5. I'm going to answer the DMs. I'm going to finish up my beer, and then that's it. We're done. Okay. All right. Necrosicherheit, which I believe is German for necrosecurity. Says, "Good evening, Ahoy. About your questions request. Well, I think DM is a more appropriate place, if you excuse me. I am sure I'm not the only one thinking so. Right. Why you decided to make such videos as you do? Why did I decide to make videos? Right. Xbox Ahoy, as a project, started as a blog. It was a blog, really it was a development blog for a game project I was working on. I started the YouTube channel to have supplementary material. I figured if I was going to do game dev, it'd be nice to have videos of the game running, and that's why I started the channel. Now, as to why I started doing produced videos, that was probably Modern Warfare 2's fault. I got caught up in the hype of Modern Warfare 2, and I decided to make videos for it. And I got a really positive response, thousands of views, which was a lot back in those days, so that emboldened me to carry on, and here we are. Next question. What was your inspiration to start such a career, and what was an inspiration for your, I must admit, rather unique visual style? I've touched on my visual style, talked about my influences. I don't know. I've always been into graphics. You know, I used to be a web developer, and I would have, you know, there was a certain element of original graphics to that. And so, you know, it's something that I've cultivated over a long period of time. I probably discovered a love for typography at university when I studied it, and that's probably where I picked up on modernism and stuff like that. I just like, you know, the bold shapes, bright colours, simple forms, geometricism, that sort of stuff. What's my inspiration to start such a career? I don't know. I've always been interested in digital arts. Probably started with the Amiga, actually. I got my first Amiga in 1991, and I would have been 9 years old. And it came with a copy of Deluxe Paint 3, which was an art package, which was absolutely fantastic. And that probably was a major catalyst. From there, I learned about the digital arts. I got into games programming and stuff like that. And yeah, I kind of cultivated this interest in multimedia from there. Anyway, if you decide to answer some of my questions, can I ask you to give me a message or something so I will not miss your answer? Well, it's here. It's right here. And this, if I remember, I'll message you. Alright, next one. Zerkzil. You have a really great voice for narration. Did you always have that, or did you have to develop your voice to have the right authoritative tone? Well, there was such a thing as puberty. Before that, I was probably a little bit higher pitched. In terms of performance style, I think you can probably look at my earlier videos and you can sort of see a difference. I was probably a little bit more timid. So yeah, I probably started, you know, trying to project my voice a little bit with the first videos, and it's just sort of, it's turned into a style. You know, some people don't like it, some people don't like my method of delivery, but it's just, I don't know, it's something that I've just developed, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if you want to see the real evolution, just look towards my early videos, and you'll get an idea of, you know, how I've changed over the last 8 years or so. But the voice itself is always, I mean, that's a physiological thing. There's not much I can do about that. Right. Lieutenant Disco says, a question for the vlog. Would you ever consider taking the investigative style of your Polybius video into other gaming myths and or subjects like conspiracies or unsolved mysteries? As far as gaming myths are concerned, I don't think there are any that are quite as large scale as Polybius. I get the odd request to do Petscop, but Petscop is relatively recent, it's shallow, there's not much to it. I think there are some aspects where I could apply a similar investigative style. I think definitely. One of them, an idea that I've got floating around, is EA have a reputation for killing off studios. Stuff like Westwood, Maxis, a bunch of others. You know them all. My question is that really true? Do EA kill off studios, or is it other factors? And if it is other factors, why do EA have a string of studios that they have acquired and subsequently have evaporated and failed? Why is that? There is a bit of a question mark there, because there is this kind of popular dogma that EA kills studios, and part of me thinks that, well, how can that be true? Why would EA be so stupid as to buy a studio and then instantly have them fall apart? Why would they do that? What's going on there? Why do these studios fail? So I think maybe there's a video there. I don't know. I haven't done practically no research. I've considered it. That's about as far as it's got. But that's something that could sort of. It's not really a myth, although it might be a myth. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. My gut feeling says EA probably aren't malicious. They might be inept, but I don't think they're malicious. I don't think they don't buy studios to close them down. I think there must be other factors at play here. But I'd like to know what they are. And I think that could be a good avenue for getting developer interviews and actually getting from the horse's mouth, so to speak. I think I know a couple of people at Pandemic. They were EA, weren't they? Yeah, they were. Maybe, I don't know. This is something that might happen in the future. But I would be challenging the popular dogma that EA are evil and kill studios. I'd like to dispel that if I'm able. But I don't know. I don't know what the reality is. I don't know. I know Maxis have had plenty of games that weren't hits. They had SimCity, fantastic. They had The Sims, yep. Anything else? SimAnt, how was that? It wasn't very good. SimEarth, wasn't very good. SimHelicopter, wasn't very good. SimLife, it wasn't very good. We think of Maxis quite highly, but a lot of their games were okay, but not brilliant. They didn't sell very well. So why would EA keep them going if they weren't able to make good games? But I don't know. I loved Sim Tower, actually. That was a brilliant game. It didn't sell very well. I loved it. Sim Life, disappointing, to be honest. Anyway. Indubious says, question for the vlog. When deciding what the next topic for a video will be, how much of a factor is availability of information? And has there been a video that you've wanted to do but couldn't due to a lack of information? Love your videos, love seeing them pop up. They're like an instant click for me. Keep up the great work. These days I'm trying to do videos that demand a lot of research. Because one of the most common criticism, not just me, but a lot of YouTubers of my ilk, most common criticism that is levied at people who do historical content is stuff like, oh, they're just reading from Wikipedia. Which gets my goat, because, you know, I have always tried to make an effort to compile information in a better way than just reading a Wikipedia article would be. And I've really, in recent times, I've really been trying to demonstrate that. So the most recent Retro Ahoys, for instance, The Secret of Monkey Island, I went above and beyond. I bought books, I read them. I know, I'm fully literate. But I did my research, and I did a lot of visual research. I looked for materials that, you know, you wouldn't find just from a cursory search. I actually did quite a bit of digging. I looked for, you know, lesser seen concept art, and I incorporated it into the video in such a way that, you know, I could demonstrate it. You know, the bits where I fade between the EGA version and the VGA version and stuff like this. You know, there's a visual aspect, you know, to the research as well. So I've been, you know, trying on that front to demonstrate stuff that you just can't. You can't just go on the Wikipedia page and see that. It's not there. And with stuff like the Polybius video, I uncovered the man who was behind the Polybius myth. I uncovered the man who was behind the secondary Stephen Roach myth. Nobody had ever done that before. You know, the Wikipedia article cites me. And with Chickenometer, there is no Wikipedia article on Chickenometer. It is not something you can just type into Google. It is something that required a lot of legwork. And breastwork. Anyway, so I have been trying to demonstrate the fact that I can do meaningful, deep video game research. For this Amiga video, I'm focusing on a very narrow, very unpopular part of the Amiga's history. Something that the Wikipedia article probably glosses over in a couple of sentences. The Amiga was released in 1985, and then in 1988, you know, there's a gap there that isn't really talked about a lot. The A500 came out in 1987. The A1000 came out in 1985. Between those two dates, there's a lot of stuff that happened, but not a lot of people know about it. I can tell you that, you know, the games that were released then, they are obscure, they are expensive. I've been trying to obtain some of them, and they're just, A, they never come up, and B, when they do come up, they are hideously expensive. I think I've got something. Just let me. Yeah, this is a recent eBay acquisition. This is an original copy of Deluxe Paint. Now, everybody knows Deluxe Paint, but nobody had this version. This is a 1985 release of Deluxe Paint. It is the Gatefold. You see, EA, there they are, EA, they had a different approach to software. They were very much about sort of putting the artist first. So Daniel Silva, the guy who made this, his name is more prominent than EA. Well, it's up higher anyway. It's more readable. But they wanted to emulate LPs. You know, they wanted to have cover art and stuff like that. But this was released in 1985. When this released, there were probably fewer than 50,000 Amigas sold. Maybe even less than that. This probably sold in the region of 10,000 copies, which is nothing, practically nothing. Try it yourself. Try it yourself. Try and find a copy of the Gatefold 1985 Deluxe Paint release. Try and find a copy. You will not. You may find the discs. These discs, just Deluxe Paint, 1985, these were distributed fairly wide. There was a lot of demo versions that went out to computer resellers. But the actual Gatefold stuff, exceedingly rare. I've been looking for this for a long time. I love it. It's got all the artwork and stuff. It folds out. And it's, you know, it demonstrates it. It's wonderful. I love it. Anyway, this cost me 50 quid. 50 quid. And I consider that a good price. I've forgotten what my point is. But the point is, I have not only been, you know, I didn't just type in Deluxe Paint into Wikipedia and thought, oh yeah, it was released in 1985. Oh yeah, that's nice. No. I have tracked down the 1985 release. I am acquired a copy, I've probably spent too much on this video, if I'm honest. Because the thing about this version, the only copy available as an ADF, that you could run in an emulator, is copy protected, and it doesn't work in emulators. So I don't know. Here's a challenge for you, right? Try and get the original version of Deluxe Paint working on an emulator. It's harder than you think. I've tried. This version works. It works on my A500. And this is honestly, running it on the original hardware is the only way I've been able to run this software. So, yeah. I have been, it is my goal to sort of, to be as thorough as possible. Because I don't like, receiving criticisms that my work is shallow. I don't want it to be shallow. I want it to be interesting, and I want it to, to scratch stuff that has never been scratched before. So, yeah, that's something I've been making. I've forgotten what the original question was. But no, I don't shy away from stuff where there's a lack of information. If anything, that's a good sign to me. That means that there's some digging to be done and some new ground to be broken. But seriously, try and get Deluxe Paint 1 running. It's harder than you think. If you can do it, I'll be impressed. And you'll be able to get it running, but it will hang. It'll load up an image of a paint box. It'll say Deluxe Paint, Dan Silver, 1985, and then it will crash. It'll hang, and that is the copy protection that prevents you from loading the program. Actually, one thing I like best about original software, not the software itself, that's fine, you can emulate that most of the time, it's the paraphernalia. The box, yes, the box art, yes, it's nice, but the little leaflets, this little slip says, Deluxe Paint, unprotected backup. We at Electronic Arts believe that software should be used productively. This is especially true of software such as Deluxe Paint and the other members of the Deluxe family of productivity software. For this reason, we have decided to make backup copies of Deluxe Paint available without copy protection, so that users can install it onto a hard disk or make unlimited copies for more effective file management. This was not an easy decision. Some people feel that they should have the right to copy software for their own use, even though they were not the original purchasers. But while this practice may seem to provide some relief from the high costs of software, it actually aggravates the problem. This is because software companies are forced to charge more for software just to overcome the loss in sales caused by such unauthorized copying. So while it seems to cost you nothing to let a friend copy your software, it ends up costing you more to buy the software in the first place. By making Deluxe Paint available without copy protection, we are hoping that you'll be able to use your software more productively, but by doing so, we are leaving ourselves open to unauthorized copying. If this happens, we'll be forced to re-evaluate this present policy and revert to a less convenient form of copy protection. So please don't abuse this backup privilege by letting others copy your disk. So there you go. You had to send off if you wanted an unprotected version. Unfortunately, someone's actually written their name on this form. They didn't fill it out entirely. You had to send it off to California, and you'd have to pay $20 for an unprotected copy. But what's the name? It's a German name. I actually bought this from Germany. Such are the lengths that I went to do this. Kermit Brunel. If you're out there, Kermit, I've got your Deluxe Paint. So yeah, it's interesting. It's nice to see sort of the paraphernalia like that. It's something you don't get with, just the superficial. But yeah, you will find plenty of copies of Deluxe Paint 2, particularly the bundled version with the A500. You'll find loads of copies of Deluxe Paint 3, the bundled copy. You'll also find the odd boxed copy of Deluxe Paint 4, sometimes Deluxe Paint 5. Sorry, I've got a notification on my phone. But you'll never, ever find a copy of this. And if you do, consider buying it if it's less than 50 quid, because that's probably a good price. Anyway, next question. Oh, so I've got a few more on the... I'm nearly out of beer. It's gone warm, disappointingly, and I'm probably sufficiently drunk by now. But Fennis says, do you have a regular pre-recording ritual? Of the vlog? Yes, I do. I like to relax. I like to have a shower. Just, I just do. And then, well, that's about it, really. But I like to make sure I'm of a certain relaxed state. And then I try and get myself in a conversational mood, Because sometimes I'm tired and I become subdued. And I feel the vlog suffers as a result. I'm swinging at my chair. Sorry. Blitzy says, can you include this question in the vlog? The logical answer is yes. Alec Exonica says, what's your current audio recording setup? Still rocking the Podcaster or moved on to something else? Right now, I'm recording on my phone because I'm in the garage and it's easy. But as far as voiceover, yes. I'm still using my Podcaster. However, I'm considering moving the Podcaster into the garage and making this a bonus recording area. Because I do want to start up bonus again. And having the garage as an isolated space would be nice. But that means I'll need to buy a new microphone and a new boom stand for my voiceover stuff. And I don't know what I'm going to buy. But I might look into this. I might spend, well, a Rode boom arm is 70 quid in and of itself. A new microphone equivalent to the Podcaster is going to be 150 quid. So this is a couple hundred quid, which is, I'll spend it eventually. It's, plenty of money to, I'll save up and I'll get around to it eventually. Right, okay. Let's see. Lenny says, hey man, I have a question. I was wondering how you make your music for your videos and how you edit your videos. Alright, how do I make my music for my videos? I have a couple of synthesizers. I also use Reason 10. Reason 10 is where I start. That's where I lay down my grooves. I'll incorporate stuff from my synths. I've got a Nord Lead A1. I've got a Korg, micro Korg. The Nord tends to be what I use the most. It's the biggest, beefiest, most versatile of my synthesizers. I am quite fond of it. I'll use it for pads mostly. It's got, really, it's nice for long, evolving pad noises. But some of its other sounds are quite good. But otherwise, Reason 10 will provide everything else. I've got a few add-on extensions for that as well. Yeah. All sorts of stuff going for that. The default sounds on Reason are actually pretty good. I mean, I do modify them sometimes, and you can chain stuff together. You can modify, you can distort, you can add echoes, reverb, stuff like that. And you can really drastically alter stuff. And then, I'll get my basic groove together in Reason 10. I'll get my loops and sections together. And what I tend to do is I sequence in Acid Pro. Why? I don't know. I probably should just use Reason, if I'm honest. But I use Acid because it resembles Vegas. And it's an environment I'm most comfortable in. So I like using Acid. For video editing, I use Vegas. I have used Vegas for a long time. Should I think about moving to Premiere? Maybe. I pay for Premiere as part of the Adobe Creative Cloud. But you know what? Vegas does the business for now. It's good enough. It has some perks. It's quite good for incorporating video from a lot of different sources. That's one of Vegas's strengths, is that it's not fussy where its video comes from. It will incorporate stuff together. So Reason principally for my music, coupled with Acid and recording from synths. And for video editing, I use Vegas. There you go. That's a question I get quite often. I'm sure most people know it by now, but there you go. Ahoy says, what? I mean, no, that's me. Sorry. It is Ketchup a Smoothie. Says, Ahoy, what parts of your PC will be upgraded next? Well, like I said, I'm planning on buying a new microphone at some point. That is kind of a peripheral. Apart from that, for my main editing PC, I'd like some more RAM. I think RAM prices were pretty high when I last looked, but at some point I'll probably upgrade. I think I've got 16. I might go to 32 or 64 gig of RAM, just because you can never have enough. So yeah, that's something I'll consider. Apart from that, what would I upgrade? I don't know. My PC's in an okay state. I think I bought it in 2016. So I'll probably upgrade it in Maybe next year, the year after that. I don't know. Alright. So yeah, that's about it. A bit more dynamic than the typical vlog. I think answering questions is quite useful sometimes. And yeah, it's a way of engaging with people, isn't it? That's what social media is all about. Oh. Too much beer. 650ml. Well, that's not really, it's a pint. But when you're talking to yourself in a garage, it's probably too much beer. It's gone warm, like I say. I wonder if it's caffeinated, this stuff. It probably is. I'll be up all night. What time is it now? 11:10. That's not too bad, actually. Oh, bitter dregs. Anyway, all right. 7.5%. I can definitely feel, yeah. Oh, yeah, bitter. Actually, bitter on the end there. That'll be the coffee. Still not bad. Not bad. An interesting beer. I'm not sure what I'll have next time. Either I'll acquire something else interesting, or I'll look in my cellar. By cellar, I mean my salad drawer in my fridge, which is where my beer tends to live. I've got a couple of interesting beers left, I think. I've got a cherry saison, and I've got a vanilla porter from, I don't know, the same brewery. I forget what it is, but they look interesting enough. Doesn't really matter. It's not about the beer, it's about the company. And thank you for joining me. This has been a bit longer. I think this is about, what, we're about an hour and 10 minutes? Maybe a bit longer than that even. I've lost count. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll try and stay on top of the vlogs now. Like I say, I'm trying to get back to the bonuses at some point. Try and get those done monthly. I'll probably do them in lockstep with the vlogs. And yeah. So it's the end of July, start of August. It's the start of August now. I'll try and get the next one done at the start of September. And then from there, hopefully I'll find a cadence again. Because I was, like I say, the house move knocked me for 6. Disruptive. But I do feel as though, yeah, I've found my stride again. I'm looking forward to, when the boy is 3 years old, I get an extra day of childcare. Exciting. And then it's just a hop, skip and a jump from there to school, which is good news. That'll be 5 days a week of, well, sort of childcare, isn't it? Of course, he finishes at 3, which is a problem in itself, because that's when my brain starts to get going. You know, I have to get up at 7, but I'm not operating at maximum efficiency until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if that. Well, you know, adapt and survive. Try my best, anyway. Never was cut out for mornings. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, farewell.